Do you feel this weight? This constant feeling that every step you take is under an invisible microscope, that every failure is amplified, that every success is insufficient if it's not validated by external eyes? Do you postpone important actions, silence your ideas, or change direction just because of the shadow of what others might think? It's as if there's a constant audience, silent or noisy, always ready to evaluate, to judge, to dictate the rules of your game. Do you feel this pressure shaping you, forcing you to fit into boxes that aren't yours, preventing you from breaking out, from being who you truly are, from pursuing what truly matters to you? This fear of others' judgment, this need for external validation, is one of the most powerful shackles binding modern man. It prevents you from taking risks, from innovating, from being authentic. It makes you play it safe, live a lukewarm, predictable life where the biggest concern is the opinion of people who most of the time aren't even thinking about you. It's a psychological prison built by yourself, with bricks of insecurity and mortar of projection. There is a brutal and liberating truth that ancient wisdom whispers, something that goes against everything the age of exposure has taught us. The age of social media, where every step, every thought, every achievement is put under the spotlight, creates the illusion that the whole world is watching. This illusion feeds fear, amplifies the feeling of being center stage. But the truth, the naked truth is this: nobody cares, not in the way you imagine. The vast majority of people are so consumed by their own play, their own dramas, their own insecurities, their own fears of being judged, that they barely notice yours on the stage next door. They are more concerned with their own reflection in the mirror of others' judgment than with yours. Understanding this isn't about cynicism. It's not about becoming indifferent to people. It's about freedom. It's about channeling that colossal energy you waste worrying about others' opinions into something real, something tangible, something yours. It's about reclaiming your focus, your autonomy, your ability to act without the implicit permission of a phantom audience. This energy, this mental attention you spend imagining what John Doe or Jane Doe will think of your new project, your new idea, your new haircut, your failure, your success. This energy is a finite resource, and you are draining it to feed a monster that in reality is quite small and harmless if you stop giving it power. In the next few moments, we are going to dismantle this illusion. We are going to look at it head on, understand how it operates, and more importantly, how to deactivate it. And then we are going to begin a journey, a 30-day journey, a practical challenge based on principles that have withstood millennia, tested in the fire of human experience. This is not a journey of empty theory, but of deliberate action. What do you gain? An unshakable inner fortress, a focused mind, the ability to finally build the life that you desire, not the one others expect, not the one society imposes on you, not the one fear limits you to. You gain yourself back. First, let's face the illusion, the spotlight effect illusion. The first step is to recognize the lie you are living. You act as if you are at the center of everyone around you's universe. Every little movement you make, every word, every decision you believe is being analyzed, dissected, judged relentlessly by an invisible crowd. But the reality is that for the vast majority, you are just an extra, a supporting character in their story. Maybe not even that. Perhaps just a silhouette passing in the background. This overestimation of others' attention is what paralyzes you. It's what prevents you from taking the first step, from speaking your truth, from putting yourself out there in a good way, from being vulnerable in the sense of being authentic. Think about it. How many times have you held back from trying something new for fear of failing in front of others? How many times have you silenced a brilliant idea in a meeting for fear that it would be ridiculed? How many times have you changed your behavior, your way of dressing, your tastes, your passions, to fit into a group's expectation? This is the illusion in action. It makes you believe that the world's eyes are fixed on you, ready for the slightest slip-up. And the truth is that most of the time, those eyes are out of focus, or looking at something completely different, or most likely looking inward, concerned with their own issues. The challenge here is to internalize that external opinion has limited power, very limited power. It only has the power that you grant it. If you don't listen to it, if you don't internalize it, if you don't use it as a yardstick to measure your own worth or your actions, it simply doesn't affect you. It's like trying to burn yourself with a flame that is on the other side of a glass wall. It might be there, but it cannot touch you unless you break the glass. And the glass, in this case, is your own need for approval. An immediate obstacle that fuels this illusion is diffuse social pressure. It's not always direct, explicit judgment. It's more of a constant feeling, a climate. The feeling of being evaluated, even without concrete evidence. You feel like you are being judged, even if no one has said anything. This feeling is fueled by culture, education, media, social media, which constantly compare us to each other, which define standards of success, beauty, behavior. And we internalize these standards and the paranoia of not reaching them. We project onto others our own fear of not being good enough. And then comes the second obstacle, internal insecurity. The spotlight effect illusion is, in large part, a projection of your own insecurity. You fear that others will see in you the flaws that you already believe you have. You fear that they will confirm your worst fears about yourself. Your mind, in this state of insecurity, becomes a master at creating catastrophic scenarios of judgment. You imagine the worst, and then act to prevent that worst from happening, which often means not acting at all. It's a vicious cycle. Insecurity leads to fear of judgment. Fear of judgment leads to inaction. Inaction prevents growth and achievement, which reinforces insecurity. Let's take the example we discussed. Imagine you are learning a complex, new skill that requires public practice. Speaking a new language is a great example. You want to practice conversation, but you hesitate to do it with native speakers or in study groups. Why? Fear of making mistakes. Fear of being ridiculed for wrong pronunciation, faulty grammar, limited vocabulary. Your mind creates scenarios where everyone laughs or judges you severely. You imagine yourself stuttering, being corrected humiliatingly, feeling stupid. And then, to avoid this imaginary pain, you practice alone, or don't practice at all, and your progress stagnates. The reality, however, is drastically different. Most people around you are more concerned with their own challenges, with their own fears. The native speaker you try to talk to is probably more interested in communicating than in judging your fluency. They might even be happy with your effort. The other students in the study group are probably just as nervous as you are, focused on their own difficulties, not yours. And even if someone notices a mistake, most of the time, it's a passing observation, without the dramatic weight your insecure mind assigns to it. They won't go home thinking about your linguistic blunder. They will think about what they themselves said or failed to say. This illusion isn't limited to learning new things. It permeates all areas of life. At work, you might have an innovative idea, but you don't present it for fear that it will be criticized or rejected. You convince yourself that your colleagues or bosses will think it's a silly idea, that you are not competent, and the idea dies before it even has a chance. In relationships, you might be afraid to express your true feelings, to be authentic for fear of not being accepted. You wear a mask, act in a way you think will be approved, and end up feeling lonely and misunderstood even when accompanied. Even in simple everyday things, you want to wear a different outfit, but you worry about what people on the street will think. You want to post something on social media that is meaningful to you, but you hesitate for fear of negative comments or lack of likes. Or you want to pursue a hobby you are passionate about, but you are afraid your friends will think it's strange or childish. All of this is the spotlight effect illusion, keeping you small, keeping you within an ever-shrinking comfort zone, dictated not by what makes you feel good, but by what makes you feel safe from others' opinions. But this security is false. It's a security that costs you your own life. Every time you retreat, every time you silence your voice, every time you give up on something for fear of judgment, you are paying a very high price. You are sacrificing your potential, your authenticity, your happiness on the altar of others' approval. And the irony is that this approval most of the time isn't even real, it's your own projection. It's a ghost you yourself conjured. The good news is that once you recognize this illusion, once you understand that the vastness of others' universes is not focused on you in the way you imagine, you begin to deactivate its power. The first step to freedom is seeing the prison for what it is, a mental construct. You are not actually trapped, you are just behaving as if you are. Let's deepen this. Why is it so difficult for us, men especially, to deal with the fear of judgment? Part of this comes from the social pressure to be strong, invulnerable, successful, always in control. Any sign of weakness, of uncertainty, of failure is seen as a character flaw, something to be hidden. And others' judgment becomes a direct threat to our identity, to our masculinity, in the social sense, not biological. We are afraid of not being man enough in the eyes of others, of not being respected, of being seen as weak or incompetent. This pressure amplifies the spotlight effect illusion, making the fear of judgment even more paralyzing. But this is a trap. True strength is not in never failing or in never being judged. True strength is in acting, despite the fear, in being authentic despite the risk of not being accepted, in learning from failure instead of hiding from it. True invulnerability doesn't come from shielding yourself from the world, but from building a fortress within yourself, where others' opinions cannot penetrate and shake your intrinsic worth. And it is about this inner fortress that we will talk now, and how to build it. Because the freedom to live your life without the constant weight of others' judgment is not something you achieve suddenly, by magic. It's a muscle that is trained. It's a skill that is developed. And this is where ancestral wisdom can guide us. Philosophers from different eras and cultures, from the Stoics in ancient Greece and Rome to Eastern sages, understood this fundamental truth. Peace of mind and the ability to live a virtuous and meaningful life do not depend on external circumstances or the opinions of others, but on our internal state, our character, our actions. The Stoics, for example, had a central concept differentiating between what is under our control and what is not. Our actions, our thoughts, our choices, our character, this is under our control. The opinions of others, external events, the actions of other people, this is not. And the key to serenity, to inner strength, is to focus our energy and attention only on what is under our control, accepting with tranquility what is not. The fear of others' judgment is, by definition, focusing on what is not under our control. It is giving power to something we cannot control. It is trying to control the uncontrollable, a battle lost from the start. This wisdom is not just ancient theory. Modern psychology validates many of these principles. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, for example, teaches how to identify and challenge irrational thoughts, such as the belief that others' opinions define your worth, or that a small mistake will lead to a social catastrophe. Mindfulness helps us observe our thoughts and feelings, including the fear of judgment, without identifying with them or being controlled by them. Building self-esteem and self-efficacy, the belief in your own ability to perform tasks and overcome challenges, is fundamental to decreasing dependence on external validation. So how to translate this wisdom into action? How to dismantle the spotlight effect illusion and build this inner fortress in practice? This is where our 30-day journey comes in. This is not a marathon, but a daily training, a series of mental and behavioral exercises designed to reprogram your mind, to desensitize you to the fear of judgment, and to strengthen your self-confidence. It's 30 days to focus on you, to understand that the only validation that truly matters in the end is your own. Let's begin. This journey requires commitment. It requires courage. It requires the willingness to feel uncomfortable at times. But I guarantee the results are worth every moment of discomfort. In the next 30 days, you will expose yourself, controlled. You will observe, you will reflect, you will act. And you will start to see the world and yourself in a completely new way. If this resonates with you, if you feel it's time to break these invisible chains, if you are tired of living a life dictated by the fear of what others think, then we are in this together. This is your chance to change the game, to take the reins, to focus on what truly matters. And since we're talking about being in this together, if you are ready for this journey, for this challenge, quickly pause and hit that like button on this video. It shows you are committed, that you are in. The multiple likes is your first small act of public commitment, but here in our community where judgment has no place. And while you are at it, leave a comment. Tell me, what is the biggest fear that paralyzes you today because of others' opinions? Is it at work? In your relationships, in your personal projects? Share it. Seeing that others face similar fears is already a powerful step towards demystifying them. All right. Like given, comment made. Now, let's get to the journey. The next 30 days. Think of it as a laboratory, a training ground. Each day, a focus, a small task, a reflection. It's not about forcing yourself to do something grand and terrifying on day one. It's about small, consistent steps that, together, create a monumental shift in your mindset. The first few days will be about observation and awareness. Day 1. Observe the world around you. Pay attention to how people interact. You will notice that most are absorbed in their own thoughts, on their phones, in their own concerns. They are not scrutinizing you. They are not judging your walk, your clothes, your expression. They barely notice you. Make a conscious effort to observe this benign indifference. See how people stumble, drop things, make small mistakes in public, and how the reaction of the vast majority is none, or at most a second of passing attention. Internalize this. Nobody cares as much as you think. Day 2. Observe yourself. Pay attention to the situations where the fear of others' judgment arises. Is it when you need to speak in public? When you meet new people? When you try something you are not good at? Identify the triggers, write them down, perhaps in a notebook or on your phone. Just observe, without judgment. Just recognize when the spotlight effect illusion tries to settle in. Day 3. Challenge a thought. Choose a specific thought that arises from the fear of judgment, e.g., if I say this, they'll think I'm stupid. Ask yourself, what is the real probability of this happening? What is the worst thing that could really happen? And if it happens, what is the long-term impact on my life? Most of the time, you will realize that the probability is low, the impact is minimal, and you are overestimating the catastrophe. Day 4. Do something small that causes you slight discomfort due to others' opinions. It could be wearing that shirt you like but think is too different. It could be ordering a latte with whipped cream without feeling less masculine. Yes, the fear of judgment manifests in silly ways like this. It could be dancing to a song you like when no one else is dancing. Something small, just to feel the discomfort and realize that nothing happens. The world doesn't end. People don't stop to point at you. And if someone notices, it's probably with a passing curiosity, not cruel judgment. Day 5. Reflect on who really matters. Think about the people whose opinions you value. There are few, right? Your close family, maybe 1 or 2 true friends, a mentor. The opinions of these people, who know you and care about you, carry weight. The opinions of the vast majority, who don't know you, who don't care about your goals, who don't understand your journey, why should they carry weight? Start differentiating the sources of feedback. Filter. Discard the noise. The next few days, perhaps from day 6 to day 15, will be about action and desensitization. The idea is to gradually increase your exposure to situations that previously paralyzed you, but in a controlled way. Day 6. Practice speaking a little more in meetings. Even if it's just to ask a question. Feel the slight nervousness, but speak anyway. Observe the reaction. Most of the time, it will be neutral or positive. Day 7. Share an opinion, non-controversial at first, with a group of colleagues or friends. See that having your own opinion is normal and expected. Day 8. Try that new skill in public in front of 1 or 2 people. If you are learning guitar, play a simple song for a friend. If you are learning to cook, make a dish for someone to try. Feel the vulnerability, but do it. Day 9. Use social media more authentically. Post something that truly reflects your interests or thoughts, without worrying so much about engagement or approval. Be yourself online. Day 10. Ask for feedback. Choose someone you trust and ask for an honest opinion about something you did. Learn to receive feedback, constructive, without feeling it's a judgment of your worth as a person. Differentiate criticism of the action from criticism of you. Day 11. Observe yourself after. Doing something that caused you fear of judgment. You did the thing. The world didn't end. How do you feel? Probably a mix of relief and pride for having acted despite the fear. Reinforce this positive feeling. Day 12. Practice deliberate indifference to small things. If someone gives you a weird look on the street, don't dwell on it. If an online comment bothers you, don't respond, don't feed it. Practice letting it go. Your energy is too valuable to be spent on noise. Day 13. Connect with your why. Remember your goals, your values, what is truly important to you. When the fear of judgment arises, use your why as fuel to act anyway. Your purpose is greater than fear. Day 14. Meditate or spend a few minutes in silence, focusing on your breath. Calming the mind helps quiet the voice of insecurity and amplify the voice of your intuition, your inner strength. Day 15. Reevaluate your sources of information and comparison. Are you constantly comparing yourself to the edited version of others? Lives on social media? Reduce consumption or change what you follow. Focus on content that inspires and uplifts you, not that makes you feel inadequate. The second half of the journey, from day 16 to day 30, is about solidifying this new mindset, building the inner fortress and focusing on building your life. Day 16. Define your own standards of success. What does success mean to you? Not what your parents, your friends, society, the media say it is. Define your own milestones and celebrate your achievements based on your standards. Day 17. Practice self-compassion. If you make a mistake, if you fail at something, don't criticize yourself harshly in the same way you fear others will criticize you. Be kind to yourself. Learn from failure, but don't define yourself by it. Remember, you are in a process. Day 18. Identify and strengthen your core values. What is non-negotiable for you? Integrity, loyalty, courage, authenticity? When you act aligned with your values, others' opinions lose relevance because you know you are on the right path for you. Day 19. Make an important decision based only on what you want and believe, without consulting or worrying about others' opinions. It could be something simple, like which restaurant to go to, or something bigger. Just feel the freedom of deciding for yourself. Day 20. Surround yourself with people who support you and value you for who you are, not for what you do or what others think of you. The quality of your connections is more important than the amount of approval you receive from strangers. Day 21. Practice saying no to something you don't want to do, even if there is implicit social pressure. Saying no to others is saying yes to yourself. Day 22. Visualize your inner fortress. Imagine a place within you that is safe, unshakable, where others' opinions cannot access. Connect with this image, with this feeling of strength and autonomy. Day 23. Do something creative or expressive just for pleasure, without the intention of showing anyone or receiving approval. Draw, write, play an instrument, sing, cook something new, just for the joy of creation. Day 24. Reflect on the progress you have made on this journey. Look back at day 1 and see how far you have come in recognizing and challenging the spotlight. Effect illusion. Recognize your own strength. Day 25. Plan a future action that previously would have caused you fear of judgment. It could be starting that project, having that difficult conversation, applying for that job. Plan the steps, focusing on the process, not the possible reaction of others. Day 26. Practice radical acceptance. Accept that you cannot control what others think. It's impossible. Stop fighting it. Accept the freedom that comes with this acceptance. Day 27. Focus on contribution. Instead of worrying about what others think of you, focus on how you can contribute to something larger than yourself, to the people who matter, to the world. Service and contribution shift the focus away from yourself and fear. Day 28. Celebrate your authenticity. Recognize and value your quirks, your unique interests, your way of seeing the world. Your authenticity is your greatest strength, not something to be hidden. Day 29. Disconnect for a period. Spend a day or an afternoon without social media, without news, without the constant bombardment of information and comparisons. Recharge your energy, Reconnect with yourself. Day 30. Look to the future. What habits will you continue practicing? How will you continue building your life based on your own internal compass and not on others' opinions? Create an action plan to continue strengthening your inner fortress. This 30-day journey is just the beginning. It is the basic training. Life will continue to present challenges, situations where the fear of judgment may try to creep back. But now you will have the tools, the awareness, the trained muscle to recognize the illusion and choose to act despite it. Remember, most people are consumed by their own lives, their own fears, their own struggles. They are not observing you with the intensity you imagine, and even if they were, their opinion only has the power you grant it. True freedom, true strength, comes from within. It comes from building a solid foundation in who you are, in your values, in your goals. When you stop worrying excessively about what others think, you release an incredible amount of mental and emotional energy. Energy that was previously spent on anxiety, on self-censorship, on inaction. Where can this energy go now? Towards building your dreams, towards learning new skills, towards deepening your true relationships, towards taking care of your health, towards pursuing your hobbies and passions, towards making a difference in the world. You begin to live a more authentic life. A life where your actions are guided by your own desires and values, not by the fear of disapproval. You become more resilient to criticism, capable of separating useful feedback from noise. You build a quiet confidence, one that doesn't need external validation to sustain itself. A confidence that comes from knowing that you are capable of facing challenges, of learning from failures, of being true to yourself. The spotlight effect illusion is powerful because it taps into primary fears of rejection and exclusion. But in the current era, it is amplified to toxic levels by the culture of constant comparison and the pursuit of digital validation. It is essential to recognize this trap and actively fight against it. And the fight begins within you. It begins with the conscious decision to stop giving so much weight to opinions that most of the time don't even exist in the way you project them. You don't need anyone's permission to be who you are, to pursue what you want, to build the life you desire. The only permission you need is your own, and that permission is granted the moment you internalize the truth. Nobody cares, not in the way that paralyzes you, and that truth is the key to your freedom. It is the starting point for your inner fortress. So, I ask you, are you ready for this freedom? Are you ready to stop being an extra in your own life dictated by the phantom audience? Are you ready to step onto your own stage and perform for the only person whose opinion truly matters at the end of the day, yourself? If the answer is yes, then the 30-day journey has begun. Each day is a new opportunity to reinforce this truth, to practice this freedom, to build this fortress. It won't be perfect. There will be days when fear will try to creep back, but now you will know how to recognize it for what it is, an illusion, a projection, a phantom, and you will have the tools to face it. Remember the example of learning the new language. When you allow yourself to make mistakes in public, when you practice despite the fear of being judged, you not only improve at the language, you also strengthen your muscle of resilience to judgment. You learn that a mistake is not a catastrophe. You learn that most people are understanding, or more importantly, indifferent. And each small interaction where you act despite the fear builds your confidence. You prove to yourself that you are capable, that you can handle discomfort, that others' opinions don't have the power to destroy you. This journey is not about becoming arrogant or completely oblivious to the feelings of others. It's about finding a healthy balance. It's about valuing constructive feedback from the people who care about you, while discarding the noise of unfounded judgment. It's about building self-esteem that comes from within, based on your actions, your efforts, your values, and not on who likes its comments or external approval. Think of the number of brilliant projects that never saw the light of day because someone was afraid of judgment. Think of the relationships that never blossomed because someone was afraid to be vulnerable. Think of the lives that were lived halfway because the fear of what others would think was stronger than the desire to live fully. Don't let that be. Your story, your life is yours, your journey is yours, your mistakes are yours to learn from, your successes are yours to celebrate. Others' opinions are just background noise if you choose not to tune into that station. Change the channel. Tune into your own frequency, the frequency of your intuition, your values, your goals. This is a call to action, a call to reclaim your power, a call to build your inner fortress. The next 30 days are your chance to begin this transformation. Take the exercises seriously. Reflect, practice, feel the discomfort and act anyway. You will be surprised at how quickly the illusion begins to dissipate and your own strength begins to emerge. And to ensure you have all the support on this journey, so you don't miss the next steps, the next reflections, the next challenges, subscribe to the channel now. Hit the bell icon. Be part of this community of men who are committed to building authentic, focused lives, free from the weight of others' judgment. Share this video with a friend you know also struggles with this illusion. Let's spread this liberating truth. Freedom is within your reach. It begins the moment you internalize the truth. Nobody cares, not in the way you imagine, and then you are free to live, to create, to fail, to triumph, to be, without anyone's permission. Only yours. Start today. The next 30 days can redefine your future. The choice is yours.